Hashem Naaseh v'Natzliach. First of all, Mazal Tov. May you have a lot of good, a lot of success in everything that you do, Bezat Hashem, and build a house full of Torah. Amen. We just read this, some parts of the Zohar as a minhag, and try to find a few things that we actually can understand, because most of us don't speak Svat HaKodesh, let alone Aramaic. So, page 18, it uses a verse from Sefer Melachim, Book of Kings 1, and it says, Ma lecha po Eliyahu. And asking Eliyahu Navi, what do you have here? What do you have here? There's a book called Tana Devei Eliyahu, where Eliyahu Navi wrote this book, and he tells of different stories. And he says, one time I went to a place and I saw near the garbage, I saw a little baby, little, child, 3 years old, 4 years old. And I told this child, what happened? Where are your parents? He says, both of my parents died. Bar minan. He says, okay, so if I tell you what to do to save you, to get you out of this garbage that you're in right now. He's in the garbage pail trying to look for food. If I tell you to do something, would you do it? Because yeah, sure. He says, okay, every day, start off your day by saying Shema Yisrael. Say Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And make sure you hold to it and you learn Hashem's Torah. And this little boy starts screaming, goes, don't mention that name. Don't mention that name next to me, because my father told me that the real God is this, and he takes out a statue. This is the real God. And Eliyahu Navi is not like us. He didn't have as much of a tolerance for sinners. And he says at that very moment when he said that this is the real God, this statue, the verse in the Torah that says that the idol worshippers will fall on top of their idols happened, and the kid fell on top of his idol and died. But Eliyahu Navi is trying to teach us something here. He says, what do we learn from this little boy? He's only 3 years old. And I just told him I could save his life. He's inside a garbage pail. I could save his life. Just say Shema Yisrael. And he tells me, no, my father taught me otherwise. My father taught me otherwise. Meaning that what our parents teach us is more valuable than our own life sometimes. We have to have a good foundation. In the next page, page 19, it uses a verse from Book of Jeremiah, Im lo briti yomam v'layla, and then it continues, Chukot shamayim lo samti. Jeremiah is telling us that Hashem is giving us a condition. He says, I made a brit. I made a brit with Am Yisrael, and in essence to protect the entire world. This brit is learning Torah. And if there's not a person somewhere in the world that's learning Torah, Yomam v'layla, at some point, 24 hours a day, someone has to be learning Torah, the rules of the world will cease to exist. Now, in the old days, we didn't really understand what this really meant. How could the world just stops working? So Hashem's going to do like what he did with the flood. But that took a year. But he says, Chukot shamayim lo samti, the rules of the world will cease to exist at that point. So we found out recently is that everything, as Einstein came up, or finally caught up to the Torah and discovered that everything is energy. And then later on, fast forward some more time, we started discovering the makeup of an atom. An atom, in essence, is two major parts. There's one small dot and one big dot. Electron and a proton. But if you look at an atom, you see that these two dots, first of all, they're significantly different in size. It's like comparing the Earth to the Sun. Huge, huge difference as far as size. And the difference, the distance between them is like the Earth and the Sun. Meaning that 99.98% of an atom is empty space. It's nothing. So whether it's this book, or it's this table, or it's you, or it's me, or it's the world, everything, the reality of everything is that most of everything is nothing. To such an extent that the actual matter we have in the universe is so small that if it was exposed, all of the matter in all of the galaxy, according to scientists, would fit in a box of matches. So how come we see everything as solid? How come you see me, I see you see the bottle, you see Snap, you see everything else? It's no different than the fan that's on top of you. Now the fan is stopped right now, so you see there's 5 blades. But if it was going on top speed, it would look like it was a single blade. If you slow it down, it would look like maybe 2 blades. Slow it down a little more, 3 blades. Eventually when it stops, it's 5 blades. Reason why it looks solid initially, or looks like a single blade, is because it's going really, really fast. Same concept with the atom. The one ball that's spinning around the other ball is spinning so fast that everything looks like it's solid. But in reality, it's not. So what is Jeremiah telling us here? He's telling us that Hashem gave us a condition. If we don't teach our children and ourselves to learn Torah, to contribute to mankind in such a important condition, in such an important duty to learn Torah at some point every single day, chas v'shalom, we can get to a point in such a weak generation that at some point someone would stop learning Torah, everyone would stop learning Torah. And he's telling you here, if there were ever chas v'shalom such a point where no one would be learning Torah, even for a moment, we're not talking about for an hour or a week or 2 months, for a moment, the rules of the world will cease to exist, meaning that the atom will stop spinning. And what happens when the atom stops spinning? The emptiness will be exposed. There's no explosions, there's no flood, there's no war. It just ceases to exist. Everything disappears. So, one of the most important parts, as the Rav said, is education. You have to make sure that the parents are educating the kids. You have to make sure they go to good schools. You have to make sure you have a good foundation. But one of the other important parts you're going to see, Be'ezrat Hashem, as the children grow up, is that you're going to see that you have education at home, you have education in school, we also have education after school, in between. You have friends. In the Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah, page 63, and also mentioned 73, it talks about how if you take a yain nesech, you take a wine that's not kosher, that's for idol worshippers, you take even one drop of this wine, and you put it into a kosher bottle of wine. And not only a kosher bottle of wine, you put it into a giant bottle. The little tiny drop, if it's like taste, if it's like makeup, it ruins the entire thing. Just one tiny little idol worship wine, you put it into a giant bottle of wine, and it ruins the whole thing. What is this like? You can have all the education in the world. You could send a kid to the best yeshiva in the world. You could have parents that love him dearly and can't wait to see him when he gets home. But if he's surrounding himself with just one, he has 100 friends, one bad kid that he likes to hang out with every Shabbat, Bal Minan, you put the kid in danger. And we all know that tshuva is not easy. At some point, everybody here did tshuva. Even if you were from birth, you did tshuva. You have to do tshuva every day. We all know tshuva is not easy. So the best favor you could do for this kid is make sure he doesn't have to do the tshuva we did. He has to do it easy tshuva. And Be'ezrat Hashem, it all starts at home. Pick good friends. Make sure you're not so easy on, no, let him be friends with people that he likes. Because sometimes the people that the kids like are the popular ones that cause trouble. It's not about making them happy now. It's making sure that they're happy Be'ezrat Hashem later on. Be'ezrat Hashem, you have a lot of atzlacha, parnasa, bliut, and all the good that's in this world. Amen.